And in US money, I mean, it was like ridiculous because the guy was working 8 hours a day and he was a really nice guy. And the funny thing is, he still works for me today.
Wow.
Yeah, from the beginning. Like he's been with me through the whole thing.
What kind of an outsourcer was he?
In terms of like where or,
What does he do?
oh, what does he do? He does site building for me.
Okay, got it.
So yeah, he was doing these things and
Mostly in WordPress, or does he also do like HTML, Joomla, like
no,
all that stuff?
no. This guy's straight WordPress guy, and at the time, he didn't even know WordPress. So we taught, I taught him, and now, I have other people that'll help out. But with that, my thing is I've been kind of molding this kind of analogy, adaption and speed of implementation, and just for short, it's like ASOI. And if you want to do something, you see a gap in the market, I mean, it's all about adapting and then how fast you can implement things, right? And sometimes for outsourcing, for me, I just didn't have enough time in the day for me to be at the computer. So with outsourcing, I've just discovered that I can just leverage this, and the real trick to outsourcing is doing it first yourself.
Yeah,
Don't expect
absolutely.
that these people or anyone you hire, you're just going to go tell them to do something and then they're magically going to do it perfectly.
Yeah.
It all has to be broken down as you have to guide anybody and you have to teach them. And sometimes when somebody says they have a lot of experience, that's not even somebody that I'm interested in because I want to kind of have a fresh look at and perspective where I can teach them. So I use video a lot. And I really like doing short 5-minute videos because people can watch a 5-minute video and really understand something in 5 minutes. And it doesn't feel like, this huge, long, 5-hour instructional video on how to install a WordPress site. So I like to do everything in outsourcing in really small little bits, like little 5-minute training videos. And I like to kind of tie them all together. So if I was going to teach somebody how to install a WordPress site, I would do, maybe the first thing would be how to get the FTP username and password from our account. And then, the next video would be these small little bits. And that's really been like my key to outsourcing is in the training, is because they're only as good as you train. The other thing with outsourcing for me is finding the right people. And there's a guy named Howie that had a saying. He says, hire fast, fire faster. And that always perplexed me because when you hire somebody, you want them to be so good at, and be perfect. But in reality, you have to almost kind of hire multiple people and see who kind of fits for you. So what we would do is we would hire, say, 4 people for the same job and let them know that this is a test. This is a month. You're not hired officially. You're just in kind of like this training period to see if you like it. And at the end of that time, we evaluate if somebody, if they did a really good job, what their communication was like, how punctual they were, and just their overall essence of the person they are. Do they have a family?
How are you evaluating these things? Like by what metrics are you, like how are you monitoring somebody's progress?
Okay, so monitoring progress, I know since I do everything myself. Even to this day, I'll do everything myself first. So I know approximately how long it takes to get something done.
Yeah, and by the way, we teach literally exactly the same thing inside of OMG. Learn it first, then outsource it.
Exactly. I mean, you can't
And
teach
there's certain
somebody.
things that you can't do that with. Like I can't learn to become a great artist.
Of course.
I mean, of course there's certain exceptions, but in the vast lion's share of the cases, learn, at least 90% of the time you should be learning it first. There might be certain computer things,
Yeah,
like
I'm not saying
programming.
go learn Ajax or PHP programming, if that's not
Although
your
you
thing.
can, but here's the point: is I'm also not saying, like, one of the things I do is I do some art. I do some PHP. I do some
Hmm?
like really at least give it the college try before you go outsourcing it. And if you find yourself outsourcing uh, more than like 10 to maybe 20% of what you're doing before you're learning it, you're probably in the danger zone.
Yeah, and I want to clarify too, so I think this is a really important part on outsourcing is I want to clarify a full-time outsourcer versus somebody that you're hiring just to do a specific project as an outsource. Because sometimes when people just say outsourcing, I think it gets kind of clouded and everybody just thinks, in one direction. there's a lot of times, and yes, I do have, a lot of people on my team that are full-time people, but I also have this plethora of resources that I use that I can pull on at any time because I built up my little golden nuggets. Like I know that if I needed like really high-end CSS stuff, I know I can go to my guy in Canada that does that, and that's all he specializes in. But he's not working for me, 8 hours a day. He's just doing these micro jobs for
Yeah.
me. And what's really cool about that is that, I don't have to have these large incomes,
Yeah, and I want to
retained.
focus on those micro jobs. That's most people who are watching this are at the stage where, and by the way, I do almost all of my outsourcing that I do is micro jobs, almost all of it. I personally don't have a single full-time outsourcer with me. I've had them off and on, but at this point in my career, I just do most of it myself. A little bit of now that said, I do have some extremely high-level partners. To be fair, like Greg Morrison, David Mills, like where it's like boom, right? Like obviously, so there's a caveat to that. But these micro outsourcers can really rocket us ahead. A little bit of great graphic design, a little plug-in here or there that gives us a little bit of an edge, something like that.
I think that it's so important to really like even rewind that section and listen to it again. It's like the micro jobs is just so amazing at the superstars that you can find at ridiculously cheap prices.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to, necessarily find somebody that's super cheap because not always the cheap guy, there's a lot of superstars. They're going to cost you. You're going to have to pay them a decent amount. But a lot of times, if let's say you're going to some of the outsourcing sites, like Odesk or Freelancer or whatever, that's where you can really crowdsource the talent that I was talking about, like hiring, say, 4 or 5 people for the same job, because then, they all do the same work. And even though, yeah, you're going to pay them all to do the same thing, what we found is that one of those people might be a superstar.
Yeah.
One of those people might just be that person that you just can't wait to have them do the next job and the next job and the next job, and they're happy to do it. And now you build up this little relationship with them. And so anytime you need something done, you kind of pop to the top of their priority list because they know that, you've built up this relationship with them. And I just love it. I think it's so cool. I built up so many cool relationships. Like there was a guy that I hired in India. He was a project manager at the time, and I no longer work with him. He's moved on to greener pastures, but he still checks in with me. How's the family? Like
Yeah.
how are you doing? Hi. So there's just amazing people
And
out there in
again,
the
this
world.
goes back to the face-to-face stuff that we were talking about. Like where where Adam's face-to-face focus comes in is with like full-time outsourcers, what he's calling micro job outsourcers, and crowdsourcing. Whereas a lot of mine is into the customers, like is
Yeah.
developing these lifetime relationship with NHBers and top level OMGers and so forth, wherever I am. But the principle is the same. And I'm not saying, oh, I'm right because I'm doing it with my customers, and and I'm more right than Adam, or Adam's more right than me. We just have different focuses. They're both 100% correct. They really are both 100% correct. In this way, Adam is much more like Greg. They both have much more of a focus into being able to be a one-man gang on SEO and just crushing it and so forth. Vis-a-vis this outsourcing, crowdsourcing, long-term outsourcers, micro job outsourcers, and crowdsourcing, where you're getting a number of different ones in there. But what I'm saying is accurate. Is that correct, Adam?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're taking the same principles and applying them in different ways. It's, same thing when, you want to get to point A to point B. There might be different roads to get to the same point. We're just
Yeah.
applying them differently. And
Whereas I have like 50 video testimonials from OMGers in the last couple months where they've made $10,000 or more, then, and that's just gold to me. It's not that Adam doesn't see that as gold. It's just that to him is his Rolodex, right? Like that.
there you go. Perfect word. It's my Rolodex. Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I just think this has been outrageous value. Just for anybody watching this is elite, top level world mastery stuff. Different angles on stuff. And one of the great things is you didn't hear, this isn't a bunch of talking head stuff where we 100% do the same things and we're like, oh yeah, I'm the greatest, you're the greatest, blah blah blah. I mean, this has been hardcore. We've gotten into examples. We've gotten in detail. Adam, I want to give you the last word here, and as long as you want, anything that you would want somebody reflecting back on this conversation to know in addition to what we've already covered?
Yeah, I was taking notes here, and I was just as I wanted to kind of touch on a couple things. One of the things when we were talking about the support, if you don't know the answer to something, and somebody's asking a question, just be honest and say, I don't know, but I'll get back to you.
Okay.
And that holds so much weight. So that's something that we do a lot of with products. And two, when you're selling a product, one of the things that I really like to do is I'll go on their life support and I'll ask a million questions, and then I'll get feedback from them, and we'll build frequently asked questions or even sometimes content pages out of that chat from their life support.
Right.
And it's really amazing. So that's a nice little thing I wanted to touch up on. The other thing is like we're just sharing right now. Like we're just sharing. So I think so many people in our industry, like they get started and they're so afraid to share their ideas or their successes or hot tips and tricks or just different ways how they're doing things. And I think that's how we all learn and grow, is like by sharing. That's why I'm on, this call right now with Mike.
And by the way,
respect
there are
him.
different levels of sharing. Like at this point, me and Adam and Greg have developed such a tight relationship that the reality is that we're sharing secrets that nobody else knows. Okay. And you want those secrets, get with us. And this is nothing bad. You may say to yourself, well, geez, man, I bought everything you put out. And weirdly, that's great, but Adam bought everything of mine too. There's more to it.
Absolutely. For sure.
We built and built and built and built on our relationship. And, we've just worked on projects together and just gone back and forth. And that's something that's developing. And that's the last thing in the world I want someone to think is that's me saying, oh, we're the cool guys club and you're not in our club. I'm absolutely not saying that. There's certain things that we can't tell everyone. We just can't. We try to get, as much information out there free as we can do without saturating things. Then we try to get as much information out there at the, high level buyer level as we can without saturating things. And then there's that elite coaching level, like that NHB level, where we really want to blow the doors off of things. We really want you to just have an unbelievable arsenal, and boom, we do that. And then there's certain things that we wind up just, having that we're still working on, that we're still, and we try to give hints, we try to give, but there's certain things where, ultimately we have to have not so much something held back, but like, where it's not going to help. Like if I were to say, oh, Adam, what keyword are you trying to dominate right now on so they can try to compete with you? That doesn't make sense. There's no purpose to that. With any,
but sometimes that doesn't help somebody though.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We've said this even with NHB. That, there's essentially one or two secrets that Greg, essentially one secret that Greg has held back, which is his primary niche. And with that's sort of the reason why we have this ultra powerful linking thing that we have in many ways discussed. We've shared 95% about it, and plenty enough to rank on the global level, but there are just a little tiny sliver of that we just have to keep back because it protects Greg's major market in the same way Adam's major market's protected. I know what it is, but we have this super high level trust. And the thing is, this is something that can be built towards. This is something that you're going to have special secrets that you're going to build up with people who you might meet in OMG, or that you might meet as you trade up. Hey, there's going to be stuff that that I don't know, and that someday maybe you and I are partnering on a project, and you open up that city of gold to me, and I open up, but the point is, the basis of it is still abundance. We're going for abundance. We're going for, hey, the things that we're teaching you now, that we're opening up the books on, were things that 3 years ago were total secrets, total 100% absolute secrets. And now, because we've built things up, because we've grown and grown and grown to that 7 and 8 figure level, then now we can open up the vault on that for you. And that's kind of a point that I wanted to make there that I think is important.
No, that's a great insight into sharing, because there is absolutely different levels to sharing. I mean, and you hit the nail on the head with it. It's like some things that, guys in the industry like myself and you and Greg and all the other, super cool friends that we've, met over the years. And they have things that, they are even still working on or even just testing that are working, but they're even sometimes even like, I'll be afraid to share something with somebody because I want it to work so good. I want it to be 100% like guaranteed if I tell somebody that they're going to just get amazing results for it too. So
And
like
it
I put
really
a lot.
scales.
Yeah, and it scales, and I put a lot of pressure on myself too when I do share something that's like I really want that person, like they've asked, and I really want them to succeed. So there's
Well,
also
and
times when
here's the other thing. Everything that we're not sharing is absolute high risk. It's high risk, high
yeah.
cost, big bet stuff that can get you burned. that
Yeah, I'm
can,
working on something right now for the last 6 months that is working like crazy, but it's so high risk. I would never tell anybody to try it until
yeah,
we've honed the actual, processes of it.
yeah.
And like you said, 2 years down the road, then it becomes, almost like
Yeah,
common or
because sharing is a matter of boundaries. We have boundaries. Boundaries aren't just to protect us; they're also to protect our friends. If I don't want, um, if it's going to be a problem in my life for somebody to call me, I turn my cell phone off. Right? That's a boundary. That it doesn't mean I'm trying to harm somebody by turning my cell phone off. It means that it's not an appropriate time for me to get a phone call. In the same way, if we're saying that the way to have success is to do this ultra high level, high risk stuff, and that's the only way, then what am I going to do? Come out to 10,000 people and say you all need to be doing this ultra high risk? And when we say ultra high risk, we're not never anything illegal for sure,
no,
never anything
absolutely.
unethical. But what we're doing is, we're spending massive blocks of our time, and in some cases, spending a lot of money to make these to make these, and also we're not gambling with relationships, but we're working in high level relationships and close relationships with other people where we need to protect those people. I mean, Greg's got clients that have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on him. He needs to respect that boundary and have a boundary in place to protect those people, just like we have boundaries in place to protect NHBers, just like we have boundaries to protect other OMGers. So these boundaries are very important. I don't want to get
Yeah,
overly
yeah.
bogged down with them, but when you're a parent, for example, you have to have certain boundaries with your children, both to protect yourself, but also to protect your children. And so it's a little bit about that with sharing a few insights. I know this is getting towards the end of things, but we do want you to understand that there's a reason why that I don't tell you my password. Everyone who's watching this, I'm not telling you my GoDaddy password. Not like as much to protect you as to protect myself. So that's just a little bit of something about that.
And
All right.
that also that also can apply to anybody that you're bringing into your world too. I mean, it's like, especially with outsourcers, it's like I have tiers to how much I share with certain people on my team. Some guys have access to certain files, some guys have access to other files, and I separate the two. So yeah, that sharing and that level of trust that builds over time. And you have to just use your own internal gauges and know when it's right. Because if it feels right, then it obviously must be right. And each person knows what level of sharing they feel comfortable with.
It's awesome.
In closing, though, one of the things I wrote down is I just like I'm a very passionate guy. Like sometimes like people have to like almost like calm me down because like I get so excited about being on a call with you or doing like right now. As soon as I get done off the call, like I'm just gonna dive into my day. Like I am just can't wait.
Yeah, you're revved up. Me
Is
too.
Yeah, I'm just revved up, and this I get myself almost to a jacked up in a state in the morning, with routine. Like find something that triggers you, find something that excites you. One of the things for me that really gets me going is I have a picture of my family in my wallet, and I know that's old school, but also on my phone. And whenever I have like a down moment, or I don't think I can do it, or I don't think that I'm good enough, or I don't think that I have enough courage to pull something off, I look at something, a trigger, and it doesn't have to be a family photo, but something that's going to trigger you into a state of mind where you can take that to the next level. You're gonna,
Yeah, Adam can't see this because I've got the webcam for Camtasia, but I'll hold up my iPhone. I don't know how well you can see that, but the background image on my iPhone is a city on a hill, and it's a shining city. It's actually like a beautiful city on a hill. That comes from the Bible, and Ronald Reagan used to talk about it, and John Winthrop and so forth. And I think of OMG as a city on a hill, and that's a constant reminder for me I pray for that. I'm a Christian. That's very important to me. I pray to Jesus every day that I can be a city on a hill, a shining example, that OMGers can enjoy that city on a hill, that my friends and my close allies like Adam can enjoy that. And it's very important to me as well. So I do that same thing.
Yeah, it's just something for me that, we all have those things that make us feel excited about. And if you can just pull on those and harness that power, because there's so much power. And also, I wanted to touch on the scarcity mindset. It's like there is no scarcity mindset. There's so much abundance online in the world and in life that we just need to tap into it. I mean, it's there. All we have to do is step into the path, and we don't have to have that scarcity mindset. We just have to go and find it. There's a million ways to make $1 million. You just need to find one.
That's awesome. Adam, I'm so grateful. And I know that the people watching this right now are just cheering for you, cheering like the wonderful enjoyment. I know that I'm going to watch this again. I know that there are going to be people that are going to watch this 10 times, 12 times, and every single time, fill up a notebook page or several notebook pages with aha moments. I know that there's sometimes when you said one sentence that had 5 aha moments or 10 aha moments in it. And so I'm extremely grateful for you throwing down like this. And I'll tell you, I'm the same way. As soon as this is over, I'm diving into my workday.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mike. I really
Thanks so
appreciate
much,
it.
Adam. I appreciate
Have a nice
it.
day.
Very generous.